Welcome back to All the Cars I've Loved Before, the only podcast that shares life lessons through the rear view mirror of your favorite cars. It's time to get a little grease under your nails, grab your favorite car-themed t-shirt or hat, and jump into our DeLorean time machine, get it up to 88, and get back to that first sense of pure freedom. The windows down, the music pegged, and your best friends piled in the back. Every car tells a story, whether it's the forgotten beater or the one that got away. We're diving into the personal history behind the middle, so let's get into it.
Hello again, Doug. How is everything going in your world?
Doing great. Great to be back here with you, Dave.
It's always good to sit down and have conversations with new friends.
Indeed.
I see you have your textbook and kind of trademark Back to the Future DeLorean swag on today.
Yeah, in addition to my DeLorean picture in the background.
Little fuzzy on the camera, but we know it's
okay.
there. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we got the flying DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Perfect.
Yes. Oh,
it coincides with the passing of James Tolkien. Hopefully I'm saying his last name. He played Principal Strickland in the Back to the Future franchise.
Oh,
so
I'm
he
sorry
just
to hear
passed
that.
away at age 95 just a couple days ago. So that's a great long life.
That's actually news to me. I didn't hear that, and I'm sorry for the loss of his family and friends and the loss to the movie community. But hey, he did a great job in his roles. So
He did. Also, he was also in Top Gun. He was the commander on the aircraft carrier. He had a lot of other roles, but those are two of the popular ones I can think of from the 80s.
I was going to say, off the top of my head, I didn't even realize like they were the same, like, thinking back. I've seen both movies multiple times. I don't think I've ever connected the dots. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, now I got to go rewatch them in remembrance.
That's your mission.
Well, I'll have some downtime soon. Maybe.
Exactly.
We'll see. Well, on our last and latest episode with our 45-year veteran automotive journalist, Matt Zio, it just dropped. And Matt was the former editor of Road and Track and Auto Week magazines, the author of the book Mercedes-AMG Race Bred Performance. He's also the editor-in-chief of tightwadgarage.com. And if you've been influential and has been influential in automotive media since the 1980s. So if you're hearing this episode, go back, listen to that one. That was a great interview. So that being said, I also have some updates from a recent review on Apple Podcasts. Carly said that I enjoy tuning in for the variety of guests this podcast has. The beginnings finds me in nostalgia land for car memories. You would not be able to guess the humble beginnings that many guests started with. So thank you, Carly, for that wonderful review. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review. It's the best way that we can get our name out there and get some more listeners in to enjoy the stories just like we like making them. We love listeners to come back and say how much they're enjoying them too. So that being said, Doug, please introduce our guest. Tell me and the listeners how we found them, how they got into our virtual garage.
Sure, you bet. So getting more involved in motorsports, we've talked about me doing the sim racing and whatnot, and just trying to think of what else I can do with cars. You can't go very far without hearing about Miss Sabré Cook, especially with her unique background as mechanical engineer and growing up with Stacey Cook as her father. And we're super excited to hear that. It's another family duo, one of many we love having. And these are the stories our listeners want to hear. So with that, by way of a little more background, we're joined by this duo that has the obsession with speed in their genetic code, it seems. So first up, we have Sabré Cook. And if anybody follows Porsche Carrera Cup North America, you know her as the powerhouse behind the wheel for JDX Racing. She's not just a driver. She also is a mechanical engineer who has designed suspension components for the Renault F1 team. And she's one of the few people on the planet who can build a car, break it down, and then go out in the field in a 500 horsepower 911 GT3 Cup car. And with her virtually, we have her father, the man who started it all, Stacey Cook. Stacey is a Colorado and was inducted in 2023 into the Colorado Motorsports Hall of Fame. He made his name on two wheels, not four, as a professional motocross and supercross rider back in the day. He's the one who traded his handlebars for a wrench to help Sabré get her start in karting at the early age of 8, and he's been in the corner for every championship and podium since. So here we have family history. We're going to talk. We're really excited to have this duo. So Sabré and Stacey, how are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, doing great.
How are you guys?
We're great. We're
Fantastic.
have you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Doug. I just want to say thank you both for being here. Thanks for coming on our humble little show to get your story out there. That's what our show's all about, is the stories that brought us to where we are today and the cars that got us there. So thank you all for being here. I'm super looking forward to hearing about the humble beginnings and the successes you've had, especially the Motorsports Hall of Fame for Colorado. That's amazing in itself. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Happy to be here and excited to kind of share our stories and get to know more about you guys as well.
Yeah. Ditto. So we have something new we've added to the last couple episodes where we do a trivia question. Stacey and Sabré, even if you know the answer, we're going to hold it till the end. But the trivia question for today's episode is, we talk a lot about keeping your eyes on the road, but in the early days of racing, drivers had to rely on a riding mechanic sitting alongside them to yell where the competition was. Obviously, that's changed a lot in modern days, but this goes back to the very first Indy 500 back in 1911 when the driver, Ray Harroun, hopefully I'm saying his name, without a mechanic. So to save weight and see what was behind him, he bolted a very specific household item to his dashboard. And so the trivia question is, what common car feature did Ray Harroun invent that day? And we'll get to that towards the end of the episode. So probably
come
know
back.
the answer, but can you imagine having to have somebody along with, hey, there's a guy there. Now you have your crew chief maybe helping you just in case, but
Yeah, I mean there are more wild things, I guess. If it's like that is totally normal. And then like nowadays we're like they were crazy. So I'm just excited to see like in another 100 years, like, what are we doing now that's just absolutely
Right.
diabolical that they're going to be
Right.
like, what were they?
Yeah. Yeah. What were these people? They were dreaming, like taking their lives in their own hands.
Well, especially looking at the safety aspects that we have today in both just regular civilian cars versus race cars and everything, and how, like it was just a regular lap belt back in the 50s and 60s. And they're like, I put a helmet on and you know what I mean? Like that was it. Now we have roll cages and 5-point harnesses and, the Hans device for your neck. I mean, like
Yeah.
so much stuff that there wasn't even thought of back then. And they're like, well, I had a lap belt and a helmet. I'm fine. But the cars were made different then, too. So everything goes in consideration. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of cars, I would like to start with Mr. Stacey. What was your first car? And tell us a little bit about it, please.
Oh boy. You're going to be extremely disappointed. It was an old 1972 Datsun pickup with about 200,000 miles on it.
That's not disappointing. I bet if you still had it today, it would still be running because the old Nissans, Datsuns, Hondas, like those old things, man. They were built for longevity.
Oh, they were.
How did you come about obtaining this Datsun pickup?
Well, of course, back in the day when you're turning 16 years old, I mean, you're ready to get your license immediately. So, I saved up money mowing lawns and doing whatever I could. And I think I paid $800 for it and bought it when I turned 16. And first thing I did is take it to the car wash and open both doors and wash all the junk out of one side, out the other side, because it was pretty rough. But I drove the wheels off that thing for I don't know how many years, and probably put another 200,000 miles on it.
Did your motorcycle fit in the back? In the
Yeah.
bed?
Yeah, motorcycle in the back. It was a two-seater, of course. You remember the old Datsun stick shift pickups, and we would pack 3 or 4 people in there, and of course all the races were over in Denver, which are 250 miles away, and we'd put 2, 3, 4 people in a Datsun pickup and 2 or 3 bikes in the back, and make our way to Denver, and no money, no nothing, sleep under the truck when we got to the track, and so lots of great memories there.
So that's amazing. If you don't mind me asking, what bike did you have back then that you can remember the specific bike that you were putting in the back and going to these places with?
So that back then, that day would have been a 1978. Would that have been a 78 Suzuki RM125?
Wow.
I think is what that was.
That's
now I'm trying to
awesome.
remember. It might have been a 79 Honda because I went to Honda in 79.
Wow. And obviously, we've already talked about a couple things that make you smile, but like looking back, what makes you smile when you think of that truck in particular?
Oh, just the incredible adventures and fun we had, and just great memories. So many great memories with friends and my brothers, and and you guys understand the racing the environment and the racing family, which consists of motorcycle people and auto people, and it's just an amazing group of people, and so those memories you can never replace, and so grateful. 16, I can't believe our parents, of course. I couldn't imagine. Of course, my daughter's so hard-headed and independent that at 16 she'd have been fine going on her own, but being kids and our parents just letting us leave the house and drive 500 miles round trip to go race motorcycles with no idea how we were going to get home. It's just a lot of fun and a lot of great memories.
Yeah, in that time when there were no cell phones, there was no GPS,
Nothing.
there was nothing. Like you were just, well, let's go figure this out together, and you would.
You had the
Sounds
map,
like freedom.
And
a
you had a map, a book with a map.
the old Atlas, Rand McNally Atlas.
I do
Yeah,
have one in
exactly.
my car just in case,
Yeah.
the world stopped and I know my phone no longer worked.
In the zombie apocalypse, you'll be able to navigate.
Yes.
Awesome. I love it. Well, one last question about that old pickup. Like, what happened to it? When did you get rid of it? Where'd it go? Kind of thing.
I don't know if I can say that on.
Saber, cover your ears.
No, you can. I'm interested. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
Well, I unfortunately I had my dirt bike in the back and was out one night and running up and down. We have a local strip here called North Avenue, and that's where you run up and down, as a young kid looking for girls and whatever trouble you can get in. And unfortunately, I rear-ended another car of girls, and my bike flipped up over the top, landed on the hood, caved the hood in, busted the radiator. Yeah, so needless to say, I was carless there for a bit, and then had to try to figure out how to piece together enough parts to get it running again. I ended up just running that thing until the motor just finally blew up, and I think I took it to the salvage yard. So,
Well, that's a really expensive way to meet a car full of girls.
yeah, it was. It was very expensive. Well, yes, it was.
Did you get a date out of it at least?
Well, yeah, but I don't know if that was good or not.
Well, yeah. That's
Oh
hilarious.
man, well that's an amazing story.
Well, Dave, we like to say that this podcast asks people, what's the first, begs to ask the question, what was your first car? Maybe this
Well,
is
I'd
story you
asked
haven't
him
heard.
what it was in the past, and
Yeah.
he told me, "Oh, I had a little old Datsun pickup truck," but I never got to know
Yeah.
the details of this. So it's fun for me to hear it as well.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
we're glad you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, especially because you're enjoying it. Just in your face, you're like, does
My
mom,
dad could write a
does
book.
mom know about this?
He could write a book. So
Yeah.
I hope one day that he does.
I hope he does too. I'd love to read it. Yeah.
Well, there you have
So-
it. See, we got three readers there if you want to get
Yep.
started. Just saying.
We should probably advertise some more too. We love
Yeah.
having authors on. So you would be our first guest / author / motorcyclist,
There you go.
motocross / father of professional race car driver. So
That's real.
let's do it. Okay. It's a deal. Saber, you just got to stay on him. Stay on your dad for that.
Yeah, that's the hard thing is
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he probably has undiagnosed ADHD, so getting him to probably finish the book, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm
He,
part of
he probably knows it at this point. He doesn't
No,
need
he's
to
fully
diagnose.
aware.
Yeah, like many of us.
Too many years of landing on my head.
Yeah. So Saber, I'm going to ask you the first question about your first car and how'd you get it?
Mine is way less cool. I wish I had a cool story, but I would say, I guess one thing I want to give background on is my dad, he grew up, in he grew up from nothing, trailer park, fought his way tooth and nail, built himself up to eventually being, an amazing real estate broker and has created a lot of success. And that was after the racing, obviously. But something that I just want to call is how appreciative I am of having a dad who fought tooth and nail to come from nothing. And then by the time I was in a position to be 16, I didn't have to worry about going and paying $800 to get a Datsun pickup truck. Thankfully, we were in a good enough position to where the deal was if I got straight A's all the way until I was 16, my parents said, okay, if you get straight A's, then we'll buy you a car. So, but also they didn't disclose that they also get to choose the car.
So it wasn't going to be a Corvette.
Oh, no, which I didn't want it to be. I mean, I didn't need it to be anything fancy, but my mom was pretty intent on making sure it was also something that was not fast, which was probably a good thing because I probably would have got a lot more speeding tickets. So when I was 16, we went and we tried a few cars and found something that was very dependable, very good on gas mileage, great in the snow. It was a Chevy Equinox. So nothing Nothing crazy fancy, just got me to and from where I needed to go. Very safe. It was decent in the snow, not bad, but yeah, not as an exciting of a story as my dad's.
Did the car have a name?
It did have a name. I named it Pudge.
Pudge.
The fish off Lilo and Stitch that eats the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, because he's kind of pudgy. He's got like a fat face. And so the Chevy Equinox, like the front bumper is very like round. And I was like, that's its name. Perfect.
I love it.
So I did want to ask you, Sabré, just given your background and now looping back to your dad's first car as a mechanical engineer, like thinking about the difference between his first car and your first car. What's your feeling on safety and aerodynamics? And obviously, you have a unique perspective given your background.
Well, obviously, the Datsun pickup one, because it's much older, is going to be way less safe. There's a lot less mass to it. The safety ratings were a lot different in the 1970s than they were when I got my car. What was it? Maybe 2010-ish. So quite a big gap in development of consumer cars. I'm sure I don't even know what the airbag ratings were for you guys back then with that kind of truck. No idea.
We had no airbags.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know if you guys had that. Like,
not till like early 90s, and it started like with a driver airbag, and then eventually a passenger airbag, and then kind of grew from there.
I was in a much more safe cocoon, which is exactly what my mother wanted. So we achieved that. And then aerodynamic wise, though, maybe the Datsun might be better, because I'm sure it actually has less surface frontal area than Chevy Equinox. Chevy Equinox, I mean, it's a small SUV, so it's going to have a lot more surface area in general. So probably a lot more drag than the pickup truck, I would think.
And thinking back to those Datsuns, I mean, those were small. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stacey. Those were small pickup trucks, and they had 3 across, maybe middle seatbelts.
I don't think it did. If it had seatbelts, we never used them.
Okay, so seatbelts. We were talking about airbags, so seatbelts optional on that classic car as well, Sabré. Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that those were at least like a given, but I guess not.
Yeah,
I think the seatbelt had to be in the car. In 68, I think is when they came out with the actual like mandate of the seatbelt has to be in the car, but they didn't actually mandate laws to use them until the late 70s, maybe early 80s.
80s, yeah.
Dave, your law enforcement background's coming out.
Yeah, we didn't even tell them. Like, we didn't tell them. I'm a cop. Like, that's the scary part. Yeah, I don't judge racers for how they got their experience.
Oh, good.
It's still a great story about if it had seatbelts.
Never street raced, so...
Well, you can't get a ticket on the track, is my understanding.
That's true.
You can get a penalty.
Yeah, penalty demerit.
Awesome.
Ultimately costs money, too. So
it was just lighting money on fire, pretty much.
And for the fun of it. So, Dave, I think you wanted to ask Stacey about his second car and how it compared to the first one.
We heard about
given the lack of seatbelts and all.
Yeah.
Maybe the second car had seatbelts.
What was the second car? What do you remember moving on to from the Nissan, or the Datsun? Sorry, I keep saying Nissan because my brain hears Datsun and automatically goes to Nissan. But what did we move up to or laterally to from the pickup?
I made a really big move up after the Datsun. I went to another used Datsun that was orange again, but it had the little extended cab behind the driver's seat. Remember those? They had
Did it have those back seats? Yeah.
Yeah, the little and I mean nobody could, but I would force my brothers to ride in those back seats all the way to Denver so we could fit more people in the Datsun pickup, and so I made quite an improvement when I moved to my second Datsun pickup. And of course it was the same color and probably ended up in the same scrapyard as my first Datsun pickup. So my whole life evolved around being able to carry my motorcycle in whatever car I had and going to the races. So
yeah, it was a utility vehicle for you, and you had some fun with it, though.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. I remember those little fold-down seats of some of my friends, and it was like rock, paper, scissors of who was not going to be in the back, because those seats were the most uncomfortable. But you had to get to where you were going, and you wanted to spend time with your friends. So 100% understand.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that you stuck with the color, because I actually had an orange pickup, and so technically it would have been my second car. It wasn't orange, but it was a Ford F-100, 1975 Ford F-100. single cab, and it was orange. They loved their oranges in the 70s. So
They did. Yes, they did.
Was it like fluorescent orange or just like a normal orange?
No, not a fluorescent. It was more of a normal orange. Yeah.
yeah, not super, but nothing crazy, and not the burnt oranges like they have nowadays. It wasn't
Right.
this matchbox over my shoulder. It's not that orange.
Yeah.
It's more of
Yeah.
like the background of this one here, kind of.
Yeah, more
Okay.
that color. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's at least mine was. But yeah, thank you for sharing that little bit tidbit of information. I appreciate that. And Sabre, what about your second car? What did we move from the Equinox, or are we
Oh,
still rocking the Equinox?
No, we're not rocking the Equinox. It's actually so much cooler and faster. It's a Toyota RAV4. It's
Okay.
still my car. I got it in college. It has 118,000 miles now
Not
on it.
bad.
So, it's just broken in for a Toyota. So currently I'm having a slight issue with my paint peeling off. It's because there was like a recall on the paint, but long story short to it doesn't want to cover it. So it's seen better days at this moment. But it gives it a little bit of character. But it's, all over the country in it. Got me all through college. It's great in the snow. So I can't complain. And it doesn't go very fast. So it keeps me out of trouble.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing is like
Yeah.
when your car won't go over the posted speed limit, you can't get a ticket that way. So
Exactly. A lot more distance and time to build the momentum. So it's
following
better.
up on that, so we talked about speed, we talked about safety. What is the most dangerous car you would consider yourself have ever been in? Like what if you think back of like this is probably not the safest time for me? What would that be?
Anytime I'm seating as the coach, but probably the most dangerous would probably be seating when you're coaching someone that's an AM, and one of them would be like I got to seat in an Aerial Atom, which is they're insanely fast.
That's that's on the list of my dream cars.
Yeah, there's one in Junction. The guy out at was it Spec Miata Dad that built one or had one? And he brought it to the go-kart track.
Yeah.
That's one yeah. And but other than that, I got to ride in, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it now. It's not a Morgan. Basically like a really old British sports car that has
Was
no
it
top.
the Caterham 7?
Yes.
So you're old and British and up there with the Aerial Atom, it had to be the Caterham, or I don't know how they pronounce it. Of course, I am American, so I don't do accents really well, but a Caterham 7, and it's also on the list of cars that I would love to either drive and or own, but being that I'm a blue collar worker, I'll probably never own it. So.
You never know. You never know.
Right?
Like, I mean, it's cool. I don't know if I would ever buy one, to be honest. It was neat. It was a neat experience, but I vividly remember being in the seat as I'm coaching this guy, and I'm like, holy shit, if we crash, like, I'm gonna die.
Not the highest in the safety protocols for that one either. One question about the Aerial before we move on, because like I said, dream car. Was it the supercharged version or was it just the natural aspirated version?
I think it was just the natural aspirated.
Still fast.
This was forever ago. Honestly, it's so hard for me to even remember. This was like
I love the idea of that open like exoskeleton of the car.
Yeah.
Like that's what drew me to that in the first place. But
yeah, I don't think it had a turbo because I don't remember the feeling of the supercharged. Sorry, I don't think it was. Yeah, I don't think so.
Was that car available as a kit car? Like I remember seeing those on Motor Week actually, and part of me wonders if they were built in Maryland for some reason. I don't know why.
I have no idea.
Okay, well,
Is that the one?
yeah,
Aerial
Atom.
Yeah. So the Aerial Atom that she was talking about, a local guy here in Grand Junction bought that car, and it was the Aerial Atom that they had on Top Gear.
No kidding.
It was that car, and so a guy here, matter of fact, I play golf. I see him golfing once a week, and he bought that thing and then brought it out, ran it at our racetrack that we have here, and it was terrifying. And poor Sabre had to ride with him in it, and
I mean, it was fast. It was really cool.
really fast.
That's all I remember about it. I was probably like 15 at the time.
Yeah, and it was fast, and it was and I think he ended up ultimately he crashed it and destroyed it.
It's the car that like completely distorted Jeremy.
And that was it.
Face. Yeah.
That was the one that totally was distorting. Oh, what's his name? Jeremy Clarkson. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Matter of fact, the guy that bought it went to Montreal, the F1 race, to watch Sabre race last year, and they flew out there and watched her race. That was Ricky Houtras, Sabre, that came out.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that was Ricky's car.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah. And I was just reading because I knew I was wrong on so many facts. This is an open wheel car made by the British Ariel Motor Company based in Somerset, England, under license in North America by TMI Autotech at VIR. Maybe they make them in Virginia. Maybe that's where they're located. There have been 8 generations to date. And looks like the most powerful version had about 500 horsepower.
They were really light, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really light.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have the, let's see, wait.
It felt like a go-kart when we were riding in it, so.
Yeah. Curb weight, 1,349 pounds. So, yeah.
Wow.
What it comes down to is just a road legal go-kart at that point.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, it's tuned by Lotus, and Lotus always had the philosophy, suspension-wise, do more with less. So the lighter, the better. So definitely fits in the Lotus formula.
Absolutely.
So what was the most dangerous car you've been in, Stacey?
Okay. So, well, I have one of the new Corvettes, but that thing's just absolutely incredible. And of course, I got Sabré set up last fall, opportunity for me to go drive her cup car for a day, which was unbelievable. But those two cars, I mean, they're just absolutely incredible vehicles and handle. And of course, the Porsche is just
But they're not
amazing.
really dangerous.
No, they're not dangerous. But I had during my career, after my Datsun experience, and then I went from 2 Datsun pickups to I was a proud owner of a Econoline Ford van that I built out so I could put my bikes in the back, and I had a sleeper in the front so I could sleep in the front. And that's what I kind of took to start traveling, doing the national stuff in the beginning. But during that time period, I started making a little bit of money, racing. And for some dang reason, I ended up owning a 1963 Corvette coupe. And honestly, those things were terrifying. They didn't handle well.
They were great for straight line.
They were, but man, I'll tell you what, and of course, I never did actually crash it. I had a wheel fall off at about 121. So of course, I had 8 girls in the car at the time. So.
Sabré is learning a lot about her dad.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm not sure.
No, I could tell it's not your shock face. You're like, really? Another one? Another story, Dad?
But that car was scary. I mean, it was, fast but ill handling and of course, I barely had enough money to put gas in it, so I shouldn't own it.
They call that being car poor, or is it car
poor? Yeah. So that was definitely my most terrifying car.
Yeah, and that was the split window.
It wasn't a split window.
Oh, it was not.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the split window. It was a 65, not the 63.
Okay.
65
Gotcha.
coupe. And you had the pipes down the side, and it was red. And of course, you know how those things are. Those cars are.
You and your colored cars. I feel like that's just like
I know.
a little target, a little bit.
I had 2 red cars, and I think it was the second one. I got like 2 speeding tickets in the same week, and I've never owned a red car since then.
They say that.
Yeah.
Of course, we got a police officer here. He can tell us if those are.
I don't know if he's allowed to tell us what they look for.
Like the
Do you
industry
profile
secrets?
car colors, Dave?
Colors, no. Depending on like where you are in the world, then maybe, it's like Kias and Hyundais or Hyundais, however you want to pronounce it, those are the most commonly stolen vehicles. So like we look at those closer.
Why are they the most stolen? Are they easy to break into?
Yeah, easy to steal as they were. So like just, but those things. But when it comes down to colors, obviously colors draw your eye. But at the same time, like if I was going to go through the statistics of the cars that I've stopped, I think I've stopped more white and silver vehicles than anything.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like those 2 colors seem to be the speed demons in the road, at least.
Silver, my favorite color, or it was.
Yeah.
Until I learned this. So I drive pretty slow these days, but that's fine. So speaking of speed, we want to talk about motorsports, if you will, with both of you. You've both got really unique backgrounds. Stacey starting it, and Sabré, of course, taking it on, growing up with it, and making it your own. So question for Stacey. You started with, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know bikes. You started with a 60cc mini bike in Colorado, dirt bike, I guess. Yeah. And when did you realize that you weren't just a kid on a bike, but you were going to be or felt like a professional racer?
Oh boy, probably. So here in Colorado, and where we live in our local community here, we have thousands of acres of open riding area out here, and so they always had motorcycle events out there. And as a kid, and I had a neighbor that was racing, and he would sign me up. He would sign for me so I could race. So I raced a few different times without my parents knowing, and then
Wait,
they
was this
found out.
Raleigh? Who was this?
No, his name was Melvin Cobb, and I was like 12 years old, so I was, and so my parents finally found out, but then they started getting behind it, once they started seeing that, I went to the 125 class and started, winning through that, and then made our first trip. So we're racing locally, and we're, just a little podunk race with 50, 60 people, and we made our first trip to the eastern slope, to Denver, Colorado Springs. That's where all the big races were, and they'd have, 400 to 600 riders. And of course, I went the first time and got whooped pretty good. I made the main, but I got whipped pretty good, and mainly because I was scared. I just had never been around that many riders, and so then I got to go back finally, and compete, and suddenly, and it was the only time my dad in his entire life ever got mad at me, because he could tell that I was just being so cautious, and he said something to me after the first moto when, I was scared on the starts, and he got a little mad at me. He goes, "We're not going to waste our time coming over here if you're not going to give it 100%. And so the very next moto, I went out, pulled the whole shot, and won by a mile. And then it was just like a trigger for me. It was like, this is what I'm going to do. And then it was just, I was going to be a ski racer, up to when I got into the motorcycle world. I was going to be a ski racer, and I'd go to Aspen and stay up there in the winters a lot and ski race and do different things. We had friends up there, and then once I discovered motorcycle racing and just, I was so addicted to it that from that point on, that's all I did. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I lived and breathed racing, and so my whole life was evolved around that. Everything I did was so that I could be better on the track, and which was a good thing. But then, as Sabré will tell you, and you guys probably have seen, when you get where you just are so committed to a sport and to succeeding like that, your social life, your friends, everything, you have none of that. It's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, if you're going to be good and you're going to be competitive. And that's just how we were. That's just, our whole life evolved around what we ate and, how we trained. And of course, back then it was nothing like what Sabré and these motocross guys are doing now. These guys, their training is so much more sophisticated and focused. But that was my trigger. That was, at that point, I knew I'm going to be a motorcycle racer, and I wasn't smart enough to do anything else.
Yeah.
He says that, but he's pretty smart.
You can pick up on it that he's holding back. But
No.
just because
And
you're a
imagine
racer
how
doesn't
smart
mean-
he'd be if he didn't get hit in the head so many times too.
Is that true, Stacey?
Hit in the head?
Yeah.
Well, landed on my head
Landed on his head.
definitely too many times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They-
you know how it is. It comes with the territory. That's part of the racing. That's the one downside of motorcycle racing, is it's not if you get hurt, it's when and how serious. And you just you know that, and it's just, but you're willing to take that risk. It's amazing how you just are willing to step up and take the risk and ride injured. And you watch these national guys now, and it's just incredible. Some of the crashes they take, they get back up, and they're riding with continuous injuries, and just, but it's what you do. You just are so obsessed with it. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And now you get to live through your daughter.
Well, that's the first time she ever really got in a car was at Homestead, and she did a Skip Barber test in a Formula car. I can't even remember what it
The
was.
Skip Barber old Formula cars. They weren't the F4 cars like they are now. It's
But-
like the Barber Dodge stuff.
Yeah, but she came by me on the straightaway the first time, and I literally had a panic attack. And
Yeah.
suddenly I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And so it scared me. I mean, it just really, all of a sudden I realized that, my daughter is in love with this sport that is, I mean, it could be fatal. I mean, you have to really think about that. And as a parent, I'll tell you what, it's different when it's yourself, because, but when it's your child, oh my gosh, it just.
But
yeah,
the karting stuff never scared you?
No, karting stuff never. No, from me coming from racing motorcycles and getting into a go-kart, I felt like I felt so safe compared to a motorcycle, and so I felt much safer with her karting than I definitely did once she got in a car.
It makes sense. It does make sense. But I'm sure that it's like a double-edged sword at the same time, because you're so proud, and you want to shout it from the rooftops like, that's my daughter, and then you're thinking to yourself, she's in a position that could detriment her life, but at the
Oh,
same time,
yeah.
you want her to keep pushing,
Yeah, and, she's so determined and just tenacious, she just 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She lives and breathes racing and does whatever it takes to accomplish that, and then I also knew, coming from my background, the downside of that. She's not gonna have this social life. She's not gonna go on family vacations. She's not gonna, she is gonna be consumed because she's so driven that it will be her life. 7 days a week, that's all she'll think about, and she'll live it, breathe it, and that is the consequences and the downside of these athletes and these race car drivers, that are trying to make it. They don't have a life outside of that. And now that I'm out of racing and I haven't been on a motorcycle since 1997, and
almost 30 years.
yeah, and I'm one of those guys. I mean, 100% in it, or I'm 100% out, and I just couldn't do it for fun. I couldn't. I just had to walk away from it, but the day that she finally retires and decides to become somewhat of a normal person. I don't know if she'll ever be normal, but
We knew that was
Be
coming.
normal.
but for her to enjoy just everything else life has after racing, that
For sure.
that as a parent, that's something that when that it comes, I'll be very happy. So
Well, Sabre, we've been talking about you like you're not sitting there. So let's bring you into the conversation a little bit. You've conquered engineering and you've conquered some of the Porsche Cup. If you could check one ultimate box in your career, what is a specific track or championship or milestone that you want for yourself? What are you working towards, like even now? Do you see it happening for you?
In the next few years, I'm focused on entering into IMSA or WEC full time and doing for me, I really want to do 24 hours of Daytona, 24 hours of Le Mans, and 24 hours of Nürburgring.
Wow.
Those are the ones I'm focused on doing. I've done some endurance stuff, but never full time in those series. I've done 2 races on the Nordschleife as well. So I'm working my way there. It just, unfortunately, it takes a lot of
Yeah.
sponsorship to get there.
Yeah. You'll get it. Yeah. It's one of those things where
Working on it.
anything is able if you have the drive. And I feel like as far as you've come already, you obviously have the drive. You'll figure out a way to get there for yourself and for your team and everybody. So just keep working. It might not be tomorrow, but I bet it'll happen in your future for sure.
That's the plan. My motto, I feel like ever since I was a kid, was I'll figure it out. So that's what I'm planning on doing.
That's awesome. I love that outlook too. It's like, it's one of those, you're not a quitter. So, it might not happen today, but we'll figure it out. And I love that. I love that. And for someone who builds and drives these machines, do you think the soul of racing is safe as we move towards a more digital and electric future?
I'm not sure. I would like to think that the recent surgence of the popularity of F1 motorsports in general is kind of helping people understand why we love it so much and why it needs to stay around. But, we are seeing a unique situation now, especially in Formula One, where it's kind of an in-between. It's a lot closer to Formula E than it used to be. And a lot of people are not happy about that. So I guess maybe a good indication of what the trajectory is going to be is how things develop after this season in Formula One. If they'll change the regulations to go back to a little more traditional, or if we're going to keep going down this path. But I don't get super excited about the idea of watching a bunch of AI robots race around against each other, because ultimately, the reason why people watch sports and everything is they get very invested in the story, and I think it would be hard to be invested in a robot story. So I'm hoping that that everyone just kind of wants to continually, at least if the cars change, whatever, if the technology keeps adapting and becoming more sustainable, that's fine. But I just hope that we don't remove the driving.
I like that answer. So, because I mean, it's one thing watching drones race, but if they're doing it autonomously, it's not as fun because it's a computer learning and not somebody behind the controls. So I love that idea.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea behind sports is we love them and we get inspired by them because it's the peak of humanity. It's like we always are. We want to be impressed and inspired by what a human can achieve. And I think that if we take the human element out of it, we lose that.
Yeah, 100% for sure.
Yeah, I agree wholly, and I think about my daily driver, Tesla. Super fast. It does everything great. It's really pretty boring to drive. Totally boring.
Other than when you can accelerate. I mean, that's fun, but I feel like it would probably maybe get old after a bit.
Yeah, it gets old. I drive in chill mode because even in the standard mode, it just maybe I'm showing my age. I'm like, what's the point? And I was telling somebody when I got my first Tesla, I remember Subaru STI, WRX STIs pulling up next to me, and I'm like, dude, you didn't even want to bother. Like,
No.
not even worth it
You
at that point.
can't even trust.
And it takes the fun out of things for sure. Like to your point, where's that human element? Or I wrote down what you said about sports being that it shows off the peak of what humanity is capable of. Yeah.
It is interesting because a lot of motorsports, with the cars getting better, it does allow the bronzes and the AMs to be closer to the pros, which in some ways can be great, but it does take away when someone is truly talented and can really extract the performance out of a difficult vehicle. So I guess there are pros and cons to all of it.
So on that topic, closing out our motorsports part, what advice would you have? And I'm thinking about cars and about families. What advice would you have for somebody who's interested in getting into motorsports, who doesn't have maybe the background that your father has, right? Which obviously very valuable to somebody, but somebody who's thinking about it, maybe they just want to do a weekend thing. Maybe they're me, they're in their early 50s, and I go do. I have done autocross, but I think I'm going to get into some track stuff that requires a car. So I get excited about that. But for anybody who, whether they're starting out, whether they're living, let's say Colorado, and they just have access to that type of environment.
So you're asking specifically as a driver, not just in general?
I would say as a driver.
Okay. So as a driver, obviously sometimes it kind of depends on your age and what you have available to you. But I do think karting is still an amazing initial pathway, but not just karting. I think it's really critical, like whether you're someone who wants to eventually become a pro or you want to do it just for fun. I think it's important to either start in karting or, like you mentioned, go do an autocross, find local car clubs, car groups that can get you connected to people that are in the space, love the sport, and you can learn quickly because, there's a lot to learn. So surrounding yourself with good people initially is very, very important, just so you can make sure you're on the trajectory and you can get where you're going quickly. But I also highly recommend getting a simulator because the seat time in real life, unfortunately, costs a lot of money. But a sim, once you have the sim and you've got your iRacing or your Assetto Corsa, once you have the software, then there is no additional cost in theory on top of doing as many laps as you want to. And there's a lot of skills that you can build through a simulator. So I think taking advantage of that is also really important as well if you want to really get into it and take it seriously as a driver.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about sim racing because now that once I did it, and I did it on a MX-5 Cup League, I only went once just because of time, but I got hooked, and I'm immediately like, man, I know somebody who has a Miata for sale. I wonder, or it's not for sale, but it's been sitting a long time. He'd probably sell it to me for some cheap.
Miatas are great.
I know. Yeah. Miata's always the answer.
Yeah, I actually have a 1.6 liter spec still. It's sitting at the track in Colorado. It is for sale. That's it. There you go.
Stacey's just throwing it out there.
That
like,
was
hey,
my,
I got what we wanted.
Well, yeah, 1990 Miata was my first convertible, and I love that car.
Yeah, they're great cars. They're 100% recommend, like, if that's a perfect route for anybody that's interested in getting started track days. You can get a decent spec Miata, and it's pretty cheap to maintain and run, and there's places you can race them all over the country. So it's a good way to get into it.
Okay, I will blame you, but not really blame you, because something's going to happen soon, and I know where one is, only a few blocks from my house. It's been sitting. I think he needs to part with it. But thank you for that. And yeah, I have to say the sim racing, and we are going to actually have the co-owner of the local sim racing place in Annapolis, Maryland on the show soon. He participated in the Gran Turismo Academy. So he, like that movie, Gran Turismo, he was actually one of those guys who won in, I want to say he said 2014. But it was just so much fun. And being in the
sim
league.
Racers are impressive.
Yeah. And being in a league and just, hey, I'm passing you on. I got passed a lot. So I heard that a lot in my headset. But man, it was so much fun. And just what the amount of feedback you get from those rigs, a good one, is off the charts.
Well, we've talked about how technology can be a hindrance, but also a help. And as far as technologies come, the amount of actual physics that are implanted into these simulators is like so crazy because you can learn how the car in real life will react because the amount of time that they put into the physics, where it's not the old N64 where the car will just, hug a curve. Like they've put in gravity and tire wear and everything into it. So it can help you in a long run train, and it's a lot cheaper. Like Sabre said, you can do lap after lap after lap. It's not going to cost you any money. But,
right. Yeah. And I'll add to that, Dave. Sorry, you got me going.
Good.
That like one day I did a FD RX-7 and, I'm just, the owner said, these cars don't have a lot of torque, so make sure you, rev it up, dump the clutch. And he's like, burn the brakes. And I'm like, wait, he just told me in a simulator how to drive the car like you would a normal car. And then I drove a Miata and like just the big differences between the two and physics that are factored into the software themselves. So,
well, obviously we've been talking for a while and I don't want to keep these lovely people from their actual lives. So the last question we always ask everybody, and I can't wait to hear your guys' answers. This is for both of you, and you guys can pick who wants to go first. What is your dream car? We already know that on my list is an Ariel Atom. So what is y'all's dream car?
Do you want to go first, Dad?
No, go ahead.
Okay. My dream car is a 911 DLS Singer. I think I would probably want it in peppermint green. It's ironic because I don't know if nobody can probably see this, but I am wearing a peppermint green shirt today. So it's like one of my favorite colors. But yeah, that would be my dream car. It's, just a casual, like probably $2 million. So we're going to work up to that. But
those are great cars. Just taking that 964 and reimagining it, as Singer would say. Reimagined by Singer. How about you, Stacey?
Well, I tell you, I became a pretty big Porsche fan after driving her car for the day. So now I guess my dream car is the new Corvette, the new ZR1 or the ZR1X. And I've been trying to figure out how to get my hands on one, but of course haven't been successful. But that thing is amazing, I think. So
that's the one to have.
Yeah, incredible.
You guys had that like in the chamber ready to go, and I love that because a lot of people are like, well, no, you guys knew. I want this, and I love it. And with determination, those are both obtainable goals. So I hope you both see that happening.
We hope
Probably
so.
more obtainable than me getting an Ariel Atom. But
you never know.
Never know, Dave.
I'll find one in a junkyard and put it back together. That's how that's going to go.
We know a guy who can help you.
We asked the question in the first Indy 500 in 1911, what did the driver put household item on the dashboard? Did you guys want to take a stab at it?
Your question is, what is the item or who was the driver? Because you already said it was Ray Haroon.
Yeah, so the driver, that was in the question. The item. What was
I mean, I know what it is, but I don't want to spoil it if my dad doesn't. Do you know what it is, Dad?
Well, to me, it would either be a mirror or
What's your other guess, Stacey?
Oh, yeah, I want to know what the other one is.
Well, I'm trying to think. Okay, if it's not an actual glass mirror, what could they use? A stainless steel something. Back then I'm not quite sure what all that.
You're on it.
Yeah, it was the rear view mirror, and specifically, it was a 3x8-inch mirror intended for horse carriage. So
I didn't know.
Because remember, it was 1911, so
there wasn't a lot of options. Yeah, that's hilarious. I know. Why didn't they think that through? Like, okay.
Yeah.
So the car that he won in, the Marmon Wasp, is actually in the center of the roundabout. That's like maybe 10 minutes from my house. It's like a statue. So he's like forever immortalized.
Okay. Awesome. Small world. Yeah. Around the corner from your house. And that was not intentional to ask a question about that particular driver for your episode. So
I mean, I'm in Indianapolis, so it is like the odds of there being something tied to it is pretty large.
Pretty close, yeah. Well, as we gently steer the podcast into the pit lane, we wanted to thank our fantastic guests, Stacey and Sabre, for being a truly sensational duo. We all want to see our kids have the best opportunities in life and the more than we did. And I would say that this father-daughter team honors that spirit 100%. So thank you guys for being here. And for you guys, where is the best place for our listeners to find you in the online and or offline world? Where can we follow your career?
Well, for me, it's sabrecookracing.com. From there, all my socials are linked. And there is a special Easter egg for anybody that wants to go and find it. If you click on my About page, there's a picture of me on my dad's motorcycle when I was 3 months old. So you can see him. He's on a vintage one, though. It's not one of his, it wasn't one of his current race bikes, but it is an adorable photo.
You have just heard the high revving, low mileage, late model, heard round the world authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia. If you or someone you know has a great story to share about their first cars, please drop us a line via email, stories@carslove.com, or via social media. And the easiest way to find all of our content is our link tree, linktr.ee/carsloved. And we want to leave you with this final thought. Telling car stories is contagious. Just go ahead and ask your friends and family, neighbors, or the owners of the next cool car you see about their first car memories and watch their reaction. We guarantee they will smile. And we will see you next time.